So Tottenham find themselves slowly descending towards the relegation zone, and a lot of the criticism surrounding the club has been targeted at this man. But from an outsider's perspective, why is that exactly the case?
Well, it seems like we have this conversation every season where a manager is, about 18 months into his reign, and we're talking about his job going because he hasn't been given the sufficient support that he needs. And it's happened with every single manager you can see on the screen here, and Ange has unfortunately got the same treatment. And as we've seen in the January window, we've only signed one player, it's a goalkeeper, Kinski, and we're sitting here on the 27th of January, and we haven't signed a single outfield player.
I think you've got arguably the most injuries in the Premier League at one moment in time.
Yeah, for sure. And we probably arguably got one of the worst injury crises we've ever seen.
Well,
in the Premier
think about how many players you've got out. Romero, Van de Ven, Udogie, Vicario, Solanke, Bentancur,
now Maddison.
Sassouma, Maddison. That you could literally field an 11 of quality players.
For sure.
With all the players that are injured at the moment.
Yeah,
and the fact that he hasn't gone in and signed one asset, apart from Kinski, the goalkeeper, it's just...
It is ridiculous. And I think the ban on Sunday against Leicester spoke for itself. Where Levy has been chairman for, 24 years now, hiring 16 managers in that time, and has won one trophy. Because as we know, we get bantered about that.
It's ridiculous.
A League Cup as well, with one of the worst
That's
managers.
That's not a successful reign, is it?
Well,
yes,
no.
He's kept the club afloat. You haven't gone into mass amount of debt or near to liquidation. But in terms of bringing success on the pitch, it just hasn't worked. And surely Levy's got to take a look in the mirror and go, I've brought in 16 managers in 24 years, and I've won one trophy in that time frame. Surely my philosophy as a chairman and my approach to running the club has to change.
Yeah, I mean, I think it simply comes down to a lack of ambition. I mean, there's literally more ambition than flipping Snorlax doing a run on the treadmill. I'm not even joking. It's an absolute joke, and the fans have had enough, and that is why we put that banner up, because it is ridiculous what we've had to deal with, and we've hired so many managers. It feels like we've had as many managers as Gru flipping as minions in the Minion film. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, and the thing is as well, by the way, they've been different managers. Project managers, win now managers. You look
which
at
is good in some ways because he's trying to change, but at the same time, he's still not finding an answer. And if you're doing that many changes with your managers in terms of style and experience and knowledge, etc., and it's still not changing, maybe look at the other ways you're running the club.
And the fact that he's hired so many different kind of managers, and none of them, not a single one of them has worked. Only one of them has won one trophy, which means 15 managers have failed at this club. Clearly shows that he is the problem.
Although some people may say, well, Levy has put money into the club. Solanke, Richarlison, Ndombele, Brennan Johnson have all cost 50, 60 million pounds. But there's more than meets the eye with these signings, isn't there?
Well, for sure. I mean, you look at all the players you mentioned and look at the clubs they were at before they joined Tottenham. Richarlison, Everton, Solanke, Bournemouth, Brennan Johnson, Nottingham Forest, and Ndombele at Lyon. They were all, apart from Lyon, they were all lower side clubs. And that's because Levy can sign them for big money because he can pay them cheap wages.
And plus the fact, Levy does also spend a decent amount of money on players that aren't suited towards the manager. So it makes him look like he's spending money and looks like he's investing into the club. But isn't it players like Basuma, Jed Spence, obviously you know more than me, who were signed because he thought they had maybe good sell-on value, or he liked the player himself, rather than going through the whole recruitment process with the professionals within that field.
You're exactly spot on. He wanted those players himself. It's happened with the past as well. I'm pretty sure it's happened under Poch, where Levy signed players he wants. Poch actually said it in a press conference just before he got sacked. He said, I'm not the manager. He said, I'm just a coach, because I don't have any
He just
say.
implements the tactics on the weekend.
I don't have any say on the transfers, and I doubt Ange has much say on the transfers either, because I think if Ange was saying what he wanted, I don't think it'd be players like Dragutin or players that are
it's not even just what Ange wants. You've got to sort of look at the whole recruitment team and run an efficient process there. Like Liverpool, when they had Michael Edwards, and they run really efficiently with Jurgen Klopp and the rest of the people within that team, and John Henry wasn't sat there picking out players that he wants because he knows he's not stupid enough to make those decisions, because his knowledge on football is just not on the same level as the people who work within football every day of the week.
And this also leads me on to Johan Lange, our sporting director, who is absolutely dreadful. I mean, the window, like I said earlier, we're 27 days into it. It ends in less than a week, and we sit here with no outfield player signings, and it is just absolutely
like we
ridiculous.
alluded to earlier on, your injury list is so extensive. So it's crazy how you haven't brought anyone in.
And I always see reports like, oh yeah, Lange likes to work behind the scenes, or like work in the dark, or work silent. I'm convinced he's doing nothing.
He's sleeping in the dark.
Yeah, I'm convinced he's working in the spa, because he's clearly not. He's way too relaxed for my liking. I don't know why his name's Johan Lange. It should be just Lounge, because I'm convinced he just sits there in a trance mark with his feet up, socks on.
He's the same energy and enthusiasm as his doppelganger, the other Ange.
Yeah, exactly. It's just ridiculous, honestly. I mean, the fact that we sit here with Johan Lange as sporting director when he was sacked by Aston Villa when they were battling relegation. He spent 100 million with Aston Villa when they came up.
And look at Aston Villa's recruitment now since they brought in other members.
They got rid of him because Emery came in. Emery said, "You are nowhere near good enough." Got rid of him. So what did Daniel Levy go and do? Oh, yeah, you can come to Tottenham.
It's quick, easy, it doesn't involve much thought.
Exactly.
But can any of the blame be pinned on Postecoglou or the players?
Well, I mean, of course there are always areas where the players and Postecoglou can improve, but that's been the exact same with every single manager that we've had. You can always pick out bits with Jose Conte and their winners.
Yes.
You can always pick out bits where you're like, that needs to be better.
No manager's flawless.
Exactly. You could get Pep in and you'd still be saying, he should be doing this, he should be doing that. Every manager has their issues, and Ange is just the same. He's got his issues as well. And I think it's quite difficult to put the blame on Postecoglou and even the players as well, because I do think the players are still trying. Believe it or not, the last few managers we've had, you can clearly see the players have down tools.
But they're not down tooling for Ange.
No.
But I think he's that type of character. He almost expects that.
Yeah.
And he's got sort of that uplifting sort of charisma about him,
Yeah.
which makes the players want to work for him.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then at the same time, it goes against him in terms of fans and pundits looking in at Tottenham's tactics, because they go, his tactics don't work because he's too expansive, too open, because he's not a traditional style of manager. So it's easy to point the finger at Ange when there's deeper problems behind the scenes.
Exactly. If he played sort of negative counter-attacking football, there'd be less things to pick out, because obviously it's a lot more conservative way of playing. And
it's like he's trying to get to points rather than just entertain, as some people like to say.
Exactly. I know people say, he needs to change. And I agree, maybe in certain aspects he does need to adapt. I wouldn't...
But hasn't he adapted though? I think I saw something the other day that his build-up patterns have changed. The fullbacks are becoming maybe less advanced up the pitch.
We can see Pedro Porro, right? He gets the ball quite deep and he plays so many long balls, right? And of course, that's not Ange's sort of really system. Sort of Ange
he likes fullbacks to invert.
Exactly, yeah. But as we can see, Porro's playing long balls. Maybe that's because he's tired. That might be the case. But also the fact that maybe Ange is telling him something different. Also changed to a back three against Everton. Didn't work out. Obviously, it was dreadful. But you can clearly see he's
trying to implement something different. Being maybe a little bit more pragmatic, because he knows that he hasn't got the same quality within the 11 to really get results by playing this free-flowing football that he wants. Where do you think they will finish? Well, you'll finish come the end of the season, because that's a question I had later, but I thought I'd chuck it in there now.
I think right now...
Top half finish?
No.
Is that out of the question?
Yeah. We're 9 points off 10th. I don't see us getting anywhere near top 10, to be honest, with the current injuries we have. When we get our players back, we should be getting away from the bottom three, because right now in the current situation we're in,
hope so.
Right now the situation we're in, we're sleepwalking into relegation zone.
Could you look at this? Well, look at the sort of the current shenanigans from this perspective and go, well, is Postecoglou's system just too mentally and physically draining on the players? Is that why you're picking up so many injuries? Are the players not used to this style of play? Because managers prior to Postecoglou, Conte, Mourinho, those sort of managers, they didn't have an exuberant play style where the players were sort of pressing all game. It was a sort of more conservative, playing on the counter.
Yeah.
Did that have something to do with the injuries?
Potentially, but then under Conte we had a massive injury crisis as well. It was
it wasn't as bad as this though, was it?
Oh no, it's nowhere near as bad as this, but it was still very bad. And Ange did actually have this issue at Celtic. I do agree with that. But then what Celtic did is they helped build him a squad. And because he built a squad, and because we're playing 3 games a week at the moment, by the way, 3 games a week, and because Celtic were also doing that, they built a squad for him, which meant they could, rest players. And because players were able to rest and still get, through training, they were able to
100%.
meet the demand or physical demands of Ange's system. They eventually improved and they weren't getting anywhere near as much injuries. But unfortunately, because we don't have a squad, beyond our strongest starting 11, there is nothing, is literally nothing. Teenagers, pretty much. Yeah. That is why, in fact, that is what it is.
And
that's
you don't have a lot of your starting 11, because I think a lot of people may compare this to Bournemouth, because Bournemouth had Evan Nielsen out, Unal out, Alex Scott, Sinisterra. They have a Tavernier only just come back. They have a whole load of injuries.
Yeah.
But in Bournemouth's case, if you actually look at the 11 that played against Forest and Newcastle, that's arguably their best 11, maybe bar a few sort of absentees. Yeah. Whereas Tottenham, it's your best 11 that's injured, and you're playing your second string team.
Exactly.
So it's a different sort of perspective to be looking at the situation.
Half our second string team is getting injured as well. And also with the Bournemouth point, I do agree, Bournemouth are doing well without injuries, but their injury crisis has been much less. We've had this injury crisis for about 2 months now.
Bournemouth is sort of within the last sort of 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah,
and it's more fringe players. So the players who are playing obviously are very good, and they're not getting a rest, which obviously will negatively affect them. But like you said, it's not the players who are, Solankis, your Sons, your Madisons, Romeros, Van der Vens.
It's key players that we're having out as well.
Unfortunately for you, as you've said, you've made no signings thus far, apart from Kinski. But are there any realistic targets you could acquire in the final few days of the transfer window which sort of could counteract your poor form?
Well, I'm not so sure maybe on certain players, because believe it or not, I don't work for the Tottenham recruitment department. Although I probably do more research than Johan Lange, actually, believe it or not. I probably got more players in my head than he does.
Potentially.
But I do think we need to sign a left winger. That is seriously important, because even when we have all of our players available, a left wing spot is a weakness. Son is slowly declining. He's also playing way too much. That is why he's not doing as well, because you can see Son is just shattered.
Son's played, pretty much 30, 40 games a season for the best part of a decade.
And he's playing, I mean, he had an injury earlier in the season, for a couple of weeks, but he's playing every single game. He's playing three times a week. It's ridiculous. It's way too much of a load, and I know loads of players have that, but the left wing spot is a serious issue.
Someone like Borja Science from Norwich, maybe?
Potentially, because what we need is someone who's great to take defenders on. I think that's what we need.
And he's a good player in that regard,
Exactly. You need someone with greater dribbling ability, and Son...
And someone who can play balls into the box. Not someone who's just going to be cutting in and sticking goal scoring,
because even on the right wing we missed that when Brennan Johnson's not there, and Brennan Johnson's not
that post merchant
quite he's not quite the best at taking players on, so I'd say maybe that,
but he's good at sort of creating chances. That's what you want from your wide players, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he is fantastic creating chances, and he does get himself on the score sheet, whereas Son isn't as much this season, and like I said, it's just because he's playing too much. He's getting older. We need a left winger and also a centre back.
I think that's arguably from an outsider's perspective. Obviously, I know quite a bit about Tottenham because obviously you support them, but Dragusin, he may be good in a few years' time, but he's not good now.
He's useless.
You reckon he'll never become good?
He's shocking.
He's only young though.
No, he's dreadful. He's dreadful. Not for our Ange system, he's absolutely abysmal.
Well, and put it this way, he's your main backup. Romero and Van der Ven, we know they have poor injury records. And then apart from that, who have you got? Ben Davies?
Yeah, Ben Davies, who's not... He is a centre-back.
Mikey Moore's been playing centre-back, or is it... No, Archie Gray.
Get rid of that, yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean, Archie Gray. But then again, Archie has not been signed as a centre-back. And with all due respect, I love Archie Gray. I think he's quality. And he has done well since going at centre-back, because that isn't actually his position. Even though he can play in full-back and midfield, centre-back isn't a position he's
still doing a decent job.
But the fact that he's doing a good job there, I've got to give him credit. But I do think, if we're playing Archie Gray as a centre-back in the years to come, then I don't know what on earth we're winning, because... The standards right now are on the floor, which is why he's getting so much praise. Van der Ven and
Romero are up here because they are some of the best in the league in their position.
Quality,
and then the backup is just non-existent.
Yeah.
But to finalise this discussion, will Ange Postecoglou be sacked before the end of the campaign, or could we potentially see him leave the club on his own terms? What do you think will happen with him from now until May?
He's going to get sacked,
Straight up?
Yeah, he's going to get sacked. It's inevitable, to be honest. Don't know when he'll get sacked. I actually thought he'd be sacked already by now. Early in the season.
I'd agree with you.
I don't know if you remember, but earlier in the season when we did a video in September after the first North London derby where we lost, I said Ange is going to get sacked.
You said around Christmas time, didn't you?
Yeah, I said it'd be around Christmas to January time, so around now. Or around December now. It's not quite happened yet, which I'm surprised about. I didn't think we'd do this bad, to be fair, but it's not quite happened yet. But it's...
You overestimated Levy.
Yeah, funny enough. But it's just inevitable he's going to get sacked, unfortunately. So I personally wouldn't. A lot of Tottenham fans wouldn't. We wouldn't sack him.
And I don't think I would either, looking from an outsider's point of view, because... Who are you going to bring in mid-season who's going to look at this current squad and go, I'm going to achieve something with it? It's different if it was a fully fit squad. You could definitely make a case, but not with the amount of injuries.
I mean, I'd agree. Who are we going to bring in? I don't know. Irreola's not going to join us. Marcus Silva wouldn't join us.
Thomas Frank wouldn't join you.
Thomas Frank, yeah. I know other fans would say, they would. Not with the situation we currently find ourselves in, with how toxic it is. The minute it goes wrong as a manager for you at Tottenham, you are screwed, because you don't get the backing, so it's inevitable for it to go wrong.
Yeah.
And the fans turn so toxic.
I'd say apart from Man United, Tottenham is probably the worst job to take in the Premier League.
It probably
is. In terms of pressure and expectation.
Yeah.
So although United have still won silverware, the stature and size of the club, it's where all the media looks. But aside from that, like you said at Tottenham, it's, Conte and Mourinho, two of the most successful managers in the last 20, 30 years, came to Tottenham and won absolutely nothing. And I think that just perfectly sums up the way Daniel Levy runs the club.
Yeah,
doesn't it?
And I know some people will be like, well, if there's no one to get in, why would you sack him? But Daniel Levy doesn't think like that. No. He thinks, how do I make myself look good? How do I bail myself out? And he'll be like, okay, let's just sack Ange. Let's make him the scapegoat, like I did with Poch, like I did with Jose, like I did with Conte, and like I did with many managers before that, and many managers like Ange, and managers after Ange. They'll all get sacked. They all get sacked because they'll all be seen as a scapegoat. And speaking of sackings, by the way, I think Levy needs to get sacked. He needs to get sacked. He needs to go.
Get it in the room.
He needs to be removed from the club, as we were saying earlier. I mean, in that boardroom, obviously, unfortunately, he does have an ownership in Enoch, so he can't actually get replaced. But I wish someone in that room just said, listen, mate, you're fired. It's like watching an episode of The Apprentice.
Or at least came down on him like a ton of bricks, or gave him sort of like his head a roll.
Reality check, give him a reality check. But I'd love to see, Alan Sugar go in and say, you're fired to Daniel Levy. And I'd love to see that 10,000 times, because he deserves it. He shouldn't be in the job. He is way out of his depth. He's clueless. And people can say Andrew's clueless, but Daniel Levy is the most clueless guy at the entire club.
But over to you guys. Where do you think Tottenham will finish this season? Will they finish in the bottom 3? Will they finish in the top half of the table? Who knows? Let us know down below. And do you think Ange will survive the season? And where do Tottenham go from here? If Daniel Levy stepped in charge, will they just see a continuous barren run of trophies? Or will there be a change in ownership at some point down the line because Levy can't take it anymore?
We will see a barren run of trophies, but it'll be the League One, was it the Papa John's, the Championship, the playoffs?
Yeah.
It'd be great, it'd be fantastic.
Never the Carabao Cup or anything like that.
No, nothing like that. Who do you think we are? We don't win big trophies. We don't win major trophies. We win about
Tottenham. I've never seen them lift a trophy.
Levy just makes money. That's what Levy does.
Let us know down below your thoughts on Levy and Tottenham. And if you have enjoyed this video, smash the like button and the subscribe button. And I can assure you, this setup's not finished because currently it looks like Tottenham's trophy cabinet. They won't look like that soon under Levy. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.